This is Billy Bob's patented 335 to 350 perforated adapter, which will allow you to put a 335 shaft into a 350 club head. This is one of the most popular adapters. As you can see, it is a very thin part, so be very careful. It is made out of a very durable material, and they include the patented perforated windows, which allow the epoxy to go into the hosel and into the shaft. This is one of the most popular adapters. This is the Taylor R5, and it has no receiver groove. You can use this ferrule even if there is a receiver groove. We're going to put this 335 shaft into the head. The ferrule takes up the room in the 350 hosel, as you can see. You should dry fit everything first to make sure it all works. You want to assemble it all at once. Now we'll show you how to do it. First, mix the epoxy. Put a little bit of epoxy on the shaft and then slide the ferrule on. Then put epoxy on the adapter. Put some epoxy in the hosel and insert the shaft. Make sure you have a good coating by pulling out the shaft and then pushing it back in. Tap the shaft into the head and make sure it goes to the line. You should have a nice even finish. Next, clean it with a paper towel and alcohol. There is a lip, so you'll need to turn the ferrule down to give it a nice finish. The outside diameter is 560 thousandths. The ferrule is wide enough to fit 99% of all the heads that are out there today. We're going to cover the shaft in order to protect the paint. Then, using a cloth belt, hold the club in one hand while turning it with the other hand and rotate it against the belt. Then, remove the tape and clean the head with a paper towel and acetone. This is a 335/365 sleeve. It allows you to put a 335 shaft into any 370 hosel, or it will allow you to put a 335 shaft into any of the old-style Cobras or other old-style clubs that have a 365 or 370 hosel that used to be used on the woods. Now, a lot of people use these for the hybrids. This is a hybrid iron, and it takes a 370 shaft. This is the shaft we removed. Many people are now putting 335 shafts in hybrid irons, as they feel it gives them a better performance. This adapter allows them to do it. If you take the 335 shaft and insert it into the hosel, you can see there is an improper fit as the shaft is smaller than the hosel. To make it fit, we're going to install the ferrule and the sleeve. Do a dry fit first, making sure the sleeve slides on. Be careful as the sleeve is very thin. First, mix the epoxy. Then, put epoxy on the shaft. Slide on the ferrule and add a little epoxy to the ferrule. Next, slide the sleeve on and coat the sleeve with epoxy. Take the hybrid iron head and put epoxy on the hosel. It's important to make sure there's a good coating of epoxy on the inside of the hosel. Then, push the shaft all the way in. Clean the ferrule. Please note that the ferrule used here is a 1/2 inch 335 ferrule that has a 545 diameter, which means it will fit the wide hosel. Originally, this hosel took a 370 iron shaft, but now we're putting in a smaller 335 shaft in, so therefore you need a wider ferrule that will fit the hosel. On this particular club, you'll want to turn down the ferrule to finish it. We now have a hybrid with a 335 wood shaft, which gives better launch and ball spin. Now we're going to turn down the ferrule. Using a cloth belt, hold the club in one hand while turning it with the other hand and rotate it against the belt. Then take a paper towel and some acetone and clean it off. This will give it a nice shiny finish. This is a tailor-made burner iron. This is the old style, which is the first burner they came out with. Taylor made this with a special 400 thousandths bubble shaft that is no longer available. If you're going to reshaft these irons, you're going to need Billy Bob's 370 standard 400 sleeve with a ferrule on it. We'll take a look at removing the shaft and then adding a regular 370 shaft in this iron. To remove the shaft, we first put the shaft in the Billy Bob's shaft extractor. Even big shafts like the 480 Wilson fat shafts will fit into the Billy Bob's shaft extractor. After putting the club in the shaft extractor, heat the hosel using a torch. Take precaution torching the head as it will be hot. Move the shaft extractor up and the head will slide off. Remember, graphite shafts like on this burner have a swing weight in them. You may want to check the swing weights in case you need to compensate when you put in the new shaft. Now, the shaft has been removed and the hosel has been cleaned and abraded. This is the adapter and it fits right in. Dry fit everything first to make sure if everything lines up and to see if you'll be above the paint line. As a side note, if you use a lot of torching and you see discoloring on the head, This is a product called Blue Away. Put some Blue Away on a paper towel and rub it around the hosel, and it will remove any of the blue burn marks off the club head. After the dry fit, mix up some epoxy. Coat the shaft with the epoxy and then slide on the adapter. Make sure there is a good disbursement of epoxy on the inside. Then coat the adapter with epoxy. Then push the shaft all the way in and clean the ferrule.